What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Tower Talk Show. I'm your host, the Beard, or the not Beard, the Mustache. I don't know what point that's just gonna get brought up. We got Former Guardian as per usual, and of course we have Not So Gamer. We got a lot that we're gonna be getting into tonight. We have some TWAB updates, tons of stuff that's getting just yanked out of the game, just completely yeeted, planets and all. Everybody's favorite vendor, Asher Mir, just gone, obliterated. We got some sandbox things to get into, just the general state of it, what we love, what we don't love, and then just why the heck have we not had any kind of indication of if anything's going to change for this upcoming DLC. But other than that, how are you guys doing?
Yeah,
doing great,
man.
Just looking cute as ever, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got the Flash in the house, man.
That's Word up, man.
Don't blink.
You know it.
He's moving
We're
so
in
fast.
The house.
That's how he gets those one-frame clicks, because he just moves that fast. Good. Well, you guys, did you put together any fun builds this week? What was I got a build of the week? If you guys didn't have one.
I mean, I played a lot of Titan, so.
Oh, gross! Skip.
It was just pulling the trigger on a shotgun. You know, that's not really a build, but I'd get my health back in like an overshield each time, so that was a bonus.
How many Titan abilities give you either health, melee, super, or all of the above? Not including
all of them gives you one of those, but we actually went through. I can't remember if you were there, Beard, or if it was with Taka, and there's two abilities that give you health back on the Sunbreaker. I believe there's two on the Sentinel, and there's one on the Striker Titan. So, you know, it's just baked into subclasses. Here's your health back, but, you know,
I mean,
not bitter.
I've just always had the theory that when they started this game, the Titan was the first one, and so it was just like, let's just throw all these crazy ideas. And then, like, all the craziness was out on paper, and it's like, then they thought a little bit harder about it, and then kind of, like, ended up with Hunter and Morlock. Like, because nothing, like, name one, other than eating your grenade and then getting, like, a shield or your health back, like, there's nothing that's not an exotic on either of the other two classes that gives you health.
The top tree.
No, there's one melee, right, for Hunter?
Yep.
Yeah, because we all play top tree Arc Strider.
Well, I mean, like, I still feel like Warlocks are like Bungie's favorite kids, but I feel like Titans did get like a lot of love because, like, aren't they like in the cover of all the Destiny stuff? Like when they first launched, like Destiny 1, Destiny 2, and the very first covers.
I think Titan's my favorite child.
Isn't it like that Titan, like the thing you see the first?
Titans are the class that get the free stuff, though. When you have your favorite kid, it's like you're always giving them gifts. They're like.
For sure. See, so Titans are like the younger brother or sister that like the baby of the family. They just get everything.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe you're right. Maybe they were last.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like Warlock's a favorite because they were the first, and then Hunter's like in the middle. Everybody forgets about them, and then like Titan just like has like everything. Like, oh, here you go. Like, here you go. Everything just given to the Titan because they're like, you know, they're the baby of the family.
Titan's like, can I have something? They're like, one more word out of you, and we're not even going to give you Blade Dancer anymore. You're going to have a stick. And guess what?
Amazing. It is kind of, yeah, like, it's just like Titans can do no wrong. It's like the Bungie parents take the longest to punish them for their stupid broken crap.
Dude, and not even that, like on Trials yesterday, like I was facing a Titan, and he got a shield, like an overshield after he killed like one of our teammates. And I was like, wait, what the? Like, he didn't have one-man mask. And that's all I forgot. Like, he was running, like, I think it was a top tree. You kill someone, and, like, you get, like, an overshield. Like, yeah. So stupid.
Top tree Sentinel, if you get a melee kill, whether or not you have your ability up, gives you health regen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hunters have that same thing on top tree Arc Strider, but you have to have your energy. And that's all that does. You melee them, you get your dodge back, and you get health regen. But then you don't have your melee. So next time you punch somebody, you don't get anything.
Isn't that also the shield bash one that suppresses?
No.
The middle tree. When you use abilities, it like puts a detonator or something they call it on them, and then when they die, it explodes. And one of the functions of it exploding is it gives you health back because
why not?
Because why not?
It's freaking amazing. I did have one build that I took into trials that I was digging, and I saw it in a YouTube video because I'm not original. I can't think of things on my own. And it wasn't. It was a build that I definitely felt like I was in shoes that were just way too big for me. Like there was actually some level of skill to it. It wasn't just like equip it and win kind of a deal. Like much unlike Titans. I'm just always unimpressed by high KD games on a Titan. But I was on Middle Tree Stormcaller, which I think is kind of gaining popularity a little bit. And I was running it with. It has been. It's been our kind of local in-house resident favorite just among our group for a bunch of different reasons. I've always been a top tree fan just because Arc Web is kind of our most Titan-like ability to where you just get free kills. I don't get health regen or super regen from it though, so it's like not really all that good.
It's half.
It's half as good.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Middle Tree with the Geomag, you get to what is it, like a fifth left basically, and then as you're sprinting from your spawn to the middle of the map, you have your super up, and then you run that with either your double pump action or your remote connection, whatever weapon loadout you're using. And then I've been running anywhere from 70 to 80 intellect, and so I always, even if I wasn't had the most kills, I was always getting my super first, and I was always getting it before the enemy team. Now, anybody in our group that's played trials with me knows that the second I pop my super, it's probably going to be a round lost. I just suck with, for whatever reason with supers. I just not good with them. I don't play any mayhem. Maybe that's it.
It's the Kamehameha wave, dude. You just point and shoot.
I know, and it's an easy to use
It's
super.
easiest to avoid too, though. It's like
You got to be careful jumping in the air too, because you have like no damage mitigation, and so people will just wreck you. Like if you're facing one way and there's someone to the side of you, it's just like a free kill for them unless you shut it off quick.
And that's the thing is we kind of figured it out. Like, okay, I should be the one to pop first because if somebody can get a pick with a sniper, I can get a pick with a super. Like within seconds, it's a 3v1, and we haven't even really reached the center of the map where people usually either have a primary fight or pull their shotgun out. And so I saw the potential. I realized I don't know, I just practiced with it more. We're a little bit more skilled. I think I could have made kind of bigger plays and kind of tilted the match early in our favor. And then that stops them from generating supers. And that's kind of what the goal was, to turn it into kind of an opportunity builder. I don't know. More often than not, didn't quite work out that way. But I saw that just a better skilled player probably would have capitalized a lot more on that build. So ton of fun. Something I'm going to be practicing with for a while.
From a spectator standpoint too, being on your team, it was one of the few times I've seen somebody get 2 supers in a trials match, and it happened multiple games. Mm-hmm. Well, which is cool because like it has happened. Like I've done it before, but it's like I'm usually top scoring on our team, and I got my super first and I popped it immediately, and then I got it on the very last round when it was 4-4, and it had to go the longest match possible, and I had to use my super as soon as possible and get a bunch of kills for it to work out. And this kind of circumvented some of that because of the regen you get from sprinting while you have those boots on. So plus you can shut your super down, keep some of it, keep getting kills, sprint towards the end again, get it at the second time. I'm guessing if you had a situation like that where you went 4-4 and you were popping it every time you got it, getting a kill, shutting it off, you'd probably even get it 3 times, So it definitely did have potential.
Yeah. And the other thing that I missed kind of, just because, like I said, just kind of the skill ceiling, like it didn't seem very low. It actually seemed like it had a high skill ceiling. Is if I use it early on to get a pick, round 2 or 3 sometimes, by the time the other team gets supers, I should theoretically be able to use it as like a shutdown for when they do start getting supers. So, I don't know, something fun to try out. Anybody that plays Warlock, not the thing that you would think of. Like it's not a fitting aspect. It's not transversive steps. Like it's not any of the things that people usually play with, which is why I kind of wanted to give it a go. But
nice.
I think Gamer over there is just, I can see him just squirm and his skin's crawling. All of this Warlock love we're giving right now.
Oh man, dude, top tree Warlocks are like the worst to go against. That's all I gotta say. It's too OP. And I don't want to say like too OP as in like nerf them. No. It's just like it's just there. top tree was meant for like PvP. That or like what I think is the bottom tree arc. Those two are just so void subclasses on PvP. Don't ever take them in. They're useless. They suck. like top
Gotta,
tree like Dawnblade is freaking OP, and then I believe it's bottom tree. Which one's the one that gives you the soul buddy?
That's bottom tree.
Arc
Bottom
buddy,
tree, yeah. It's stinking, man. Every time you go against those on comp or trials, it's annoying to get around.
Yeah, if you give it to all 3 teammates, it can be a little tough to deal with. Just added damage, you know.
Yeah, and then when they pop their super, they slam that thing in the ground, and then Tickle Fingers is the hardest super to avoid. Like there's no like you can't like, you can team shoot it from afar, but if he's close enough, he's gonna wipe the whole team. You know, so but I mean,
Invis shotgun hunters in trials, and it was effective. I think one of the best teams we played ran that strat.
Yeah, because they're off the radar, and then they're throwing the thing, so it's like making you like, oh, where the heck is everybody? Yeah, it's. I've seen that strat. It's pretty cool. Last night I ran. So I went and did Menagerie for a parcel to Stardust because I do love like light frame shotguns, and it was in a kinetic, so I paired that up with Lemon Arc and took that into trials. Almost went flawless, man. Dude, that build was sexy, man. Because I finally got like a really good helmet. So that was the only thing I was lacking for like a really, really good, like almost triple 100. And I got 95 mobility, 95 recovery, and 85 intellect. Just ran that with double pump action. I was getting my super like, but like the second round was over. I had my super, and then if the match draw even longer, I would get it like 2 to 3 times a match. So it came in clutch, man. It came in clutch a lot of times. So. Definitely for sure. If you guys are like, oh, I don't know how to go into trials, obviously, like, bring your intellect because like having your super is very, very, very important. It's almost a guaranteed kill. The faster you can get your super, the better.
Yeah, at least tier 6 if you're really wanting to kind of go in strong. Tier 6. Anything beyond tier 6 is like super diminishing returns, but it makes a big difference. Don't get me wrong. But if you have at least 6, it's kind of you've got the kind of biggest jumps you can get in improving that, so you do get it faster. And then like you said, remote connection, pump action,
dire artillery,
whatever the light one is for fusions if you're running Bastion or something. I guess not many people run other fusions right now, but
light reactor,
yeah.
And then dire artillery.
Yeah, for our mountaintop users out there, go ahead and slap on some extra super when you one-shot people. I know we're not talking about the sandbox. I'll hold off.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. Wait for that. But that was my build I did yesterday, and it was super fun. We almost went flawless, man. It was cool. We were like, you know what? Let's go in bows. We ran with Dietz, obviously our buddy Dietz, and he loves Wishender. He went with Wishender. I went with Luminarch, and it was cool because I like running it with a shotgun because a shotgun comes in clutch when you just want to run in when everybody's babysitting, just sitting in the back camping. So like you just rush in with a shotgun, and then from a distance you just Luminarch the whole team. So it was a great pair. I know you like running it with like Crimson and like other stuff, former Guardian, but like for me, like it came in clutch. That parcel Stardust, man, came in clutch.
Yeah, I love pairing Escape Velocity with Luminarch because Luminarch is a lightweight frame, technically, in its archetype.
Crimson, yeah.
So
I got what you're saying.
It gives you two tiers of mobility while you have it equipped, and Escape Velocity is a lightweight frame kinetic SMG, and I have quick draw Zen Moment on mine, which is great. And so I can swap over to it once I put an arrow into somebody and finish them off. But no matter what, I'm always carrying a lightweight frame weapon, so it just bumps my mobility, helps me get my dodges back faster.
I meant to say Escape Velocity. I don't know why I said Crimson, because I know you use that with your other bow.
I did use that when we were doing 3v3s.
I meant to say the SMG, yeah. I was like, what the?
Yeah. Crimson's fun to pair with bows, too, because that was an old strat in D1. People would run, it wasn't Crimson, it was Red Death, the pulse rifle, that... For those who didn't play, it's the same thing. It's a pulse rifle rather than a 3-burst hand cannon. And people would run a sniper with that. They would intentionally body somebody with their sniper and then swap over and tap them once with Red Death, get their health back. And people would run that if they were doing like 1v3 trials runs so that they could just 1v1 each person, but turn on the next guy with full health. So it works really well with the bow. You can throw on quick access sling, use what are the boots with illegally modded holster, whatever those are called, lucky pants. Throw those on, you'll pull the Crimson out super quick. Just kind of speeds up your swap speed between the two of them, and you can get some dirty plays with it, get your health back, and if you get a crit on the kill, it reloads. You never have to worry about reloading. You shoot with your bow, swap over, kill him, go back to your bow, find the next guy, and just kind of keep rinse and repeat. So it's really fun build.
Doesn't it kill you and reload your weapon?
Yeah. Yeah, it kills, heals you, and reloads your weapon. So, best exotic, by the way. Bungie, you should probably nerf it. That's a lot of abilities going on in one gun.
The Crimson?
I'm joking, by the way. Don't take that seriously.
Yeah, I was about to say that thing got me Luna's back in the day.
It's good.
That in.
It's finicky. The kick is a little weird, and it's even on like mouse and keyboard. It's just a little interesting to get used to. Kind of the fire when you're used to other hand cannons, because it really is, it's a pulse rifle, but it's a close range pulse rifle, so I don't know, it takes a little getting used to, but it can be strong if you get good with it.
You still see that too, like compared to other hand cannons that we got. Like that's one that you still see in today's.
Right, when Shadowkeep dropped, I feel like I saw it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Gamer, there was a couple things we wanted to bring up in the TWAB. I know you just off show, we had talked about it earlier today. What's happening with your favorite game mode, Gambit? You love Gambit so much.
I don't know. Like I know we were talking about it. So they did mention in the TWAB, right, that Gambit perfected. The other day I was going to sleep and I was watching like TWAB reviews, and I thought I dreamt it, but I think it is legit. Like we are getting like a better, Gambit and Gambit Prime. They're going to remodel it. Called like Gambit Perfected or whatever.
They're like combining the two, yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of combining it and make it a better game mode. But let's be honest though, when Gambit first came out, we were all excited for it, right? We were like, "What is this? Like, this looks cool." Then before, I believe it was Forsaken, right? It came out in Forsaken, right?
Came out with Forsaken, yeah.
Okay. So when Forsaken came out, they gave you, if you were to pre-ordered it, or not even if you pre-ordered, I think they gave it to everybody for like a weekend trial, right? It's like, oh, here's this game mode, go try it out, see if you guys go balls out. And then so it came out like the weekend before Forsaken dropped, and I remember everybody went in there and everybody's like, dude, this thing is so cool. Like no one.
That's right. They dropped it like a week or two before. I remember that.
Yeah. They did like a cool little trial, and then they were like, oh, and that was so badass because like you don't know what to expect. You were like trying to throw this. You were throwing, oh, let's run tether. Let's run this. Like it was just so freaking cool at that time. How Gambit was, and when Forsaken came out, I think I grinded Gambit hardcore because I wanted that Dredgen title, and I grinded it so much that I just got sick of it at the end of that season. And
anybody that's done the Hush quest, you just get sick of it.
No, before the Hush quest, the Breakneck, dude, remember? It dropped right in Forsaken, and it was right before Black Armory. They're like, it was right before Black Armory. They're like, here's this gun and this gun, it was Breakneck, that was kinetic. That was kind of when they first introduced Pinnacles, right?
That was the first.
They were like, they were the first Pinnacles. It was that one, and it was Loaded Questions. They were like, here are these two, like go get them, like because they're needed for the forges, and because there's going to be really beefy enemies. Go get them. I think you had to do like 25 Gambit matches. It's funny because it's like back then, like it was a new game mode, so you went and did it. Right now during the Solstice Armor, we're all complaining about like 10.
That was the worst part of that quest.
Yeah, I remember Breakneck being 25 Gambit matches. Then you have to get like 2,500 kills with an auto rifle. Then like 30,000 kills, multi kills with them. I can't remember. It was a long quest.
30,000.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, man.
I think I speak for all of us here when I say the most fun Gambit ever was like the first couple days and then maybe into the first few weeks, but really just past that point. Like everybody figured out the strat and nothing was new anymore, and so there was no mysticism behind
strat.
it.
Everybody knew the cheese to it.
Right, the cheese, the strat, same diff. But just because we don't want this to be a Gambit episode, because none of us enjoy it. Like, we don't really like it.
Hold on, Beard,
So,
but it's nice
here's-
to just bring up how like it was a good, it was a good
No, it
experience
was.
when it came out.
Early on.
I think it's
So-
a good idea in concept. Like in
Yes.
theory, this idea of PvE and PvP collide sounds
that's what I was gonna say,
sounds
yeah.
great.
So in like 20 seconds or less, we'll go round robin, starting with former Guardian. 20 seconds, craziest ideas possible to make that would make you go play Gambit. Ready, set, go.
Make Gambit great again.
that would make me want to play it. Wow.
Or just at least intrigue you enough to like, with some level of curiosity, get back in.
I don't know. Like I feel like Gambit is a game mode that at the beginning it did come out, we were excited about it, and people took it maybe too seriously, almost like a Crucible type, like somewhat competitive scenario. And I think it just can't be taken that way. Like, it's because it's not fun. Like it's a game mode, and people have complained about this, and they've made changes to where the winner, or who's winning, the winning team, I guess, it can swing so quickly from one side to the other because of invasions, because you're behind but you finally get enough motes in and you start out with a bunch of stacks on how much damage you can deal with the boss, and all of a sudden you just delete him before the team who's been leading. Like, you know, and granted, I haven't played much Prime and stuff, but like to get me to go back in, I feel like it needs to be something that's like fun, whether it's like slapstick stupid fun. Like I threw out the stupid idea almost jokingly while we were talking over the week that like instead of going in with your loadout, everyone should just have a Scorch Cannon, because it would just make it dumb, right? Like killing the ads with the Scorch Cannon would be easy. Like you kill them, pick up your motes, go bank. But like when an invader come in, imagine an invader who still has his buff, just like bunny hopping around with stompies or flying around as a freaking top tree Dawnblade Warlock, and everyone's just like shooting rockets at him while he's trying to kill you and stuff. Like it would just be stupid. And if you lost, you'd be like, Matt, you probably had some fun while doing it. So
just like the Scorched playlist. Literally doesn't
yeah,
matter.
like, and I don't know, because I don't even love the Scorch playlist, because that is just like it's just four on four or whatever the game mode is now. I don't remember. Just everyone's like shooting rockets, like just it's like chaos. It's almost like mayhem. Like you go in and you can't take it seriously at all, but it's also kind of frustrating when you just die immediately. So at least in Gambit, you'd get to like wipe out a bunch of ads, and then if you wanted to go invade or somebody invaded you, like it would kind of create that chaos. But it's also like a 1v4. So
you went way past 20 seconds, but I like your idea, because you could substitute Scorched Cannon for anything, like swords or
throw them all in. You know, you gotta
grenades only.
pick them up when you first
Grenades would
spawn
be
in.
cool. Unlimited
No,
incendiary
no,
grenades.
so-
Okay. Gamer, you go. 20 seconds. What's gonna get you back into Gambit?
Honestly, like Gambit came out real quick. Gambit came out. They were trying to make this cool EA Sport type of thing with Gambit. It just backfired on them. Obviously, it was enjoyable when it first came out. I think what Gambit needs to make it enjoyable is a better sandbox for Gambit specifically, because I feel like it's too cheesy. You go in there, everybody just runs with heavy. Like that's all it is, and it's not fun. You know, it isn't fun because you're out there trying to do things, and then an invader comes every like 5 seconds, and then just wipes out the whole team with the truth, and that's super annoying.
LMG.
And then and then second of all, something that I think would benefit from the game mode is obviously a better sandbox, and they need to fix the round system still. I think the round system is still too long, and people aren't going because of how long it is. Back then it was longer, you know, they didn't have that mayhem third round. I like that change, but I still think maybe they could do a little better.
Okay. All right. So you're going more for let's actually fix the issues, whereas former Guardians more just from the ground up. We just
He got me an idea. I was like, okay, you go in with your loadout, but whenever there's an invader, you get a Scorch Cannon.
That would be cool.
It's like invader, all hell breaks loose. It's
I got this, and he's got one too. So like everybody has the same weapons when someone invades.
Or just max out everybody's supers during the time he's there, and as soon as he like disappears, it goes back to whatever it was. It's like spam supers, quick.
So here's my quick 20 seconds. More or less, obviously, I think you guys took easily 2 to 9 times as long than 20 seconds, but
Who taught you
No.
math?
So I do remember early on, like before it was even released, a lot of the gameplay that like YouTubers and content creators and stuff put out, it was a very controlled environment like at Bungie. So everybody just had the loadouts that was just on the character. And I do remember a lot of people feeling that it was more fun then when like the loadouts was something given to you. I do
Alright.
feel like that does kind of distract a lot from just what Destiny is though. And so I think a super fun way that would like actually get me to go try Gambit again would be to turn it into not like necessarily like a
Lock your
MOBA
loadout.
style of thing, but like to where you load in with like like a gun or something, like a sidearm or something like that, and then there's bosses you have to go kill with your fire team to get a different weapon to drop. And then at any moment in time, the other team could show up right where you're fighting that boss, and they could kill him first, and then they could go pick up that weapon, or something like that. Because the idea is PvEVP, like some type of a combination of all of it together. And I just feel like with the invasion aspect, like the PvP kind of just pops up in the middle of your PvE, and so there's not really like a blend. I don't know. Like we're just kind of spitballing ideas here. There's no way that I think anything like that would come to life, but I think that would be a much more fun mix of PvP and PvE if it's an open world and there's some type of objective, and then at any point in time, like the enemy team could pop up and I don't know,
Honestly,
all with swords. Let's just say, just wipe you out with swords
I mean,
or something.
maybe off the wall idea, but what if they just took invading out?
Then it's a strike, and I'm definitely not playing it.
You're still
Yeah,
competing. When you
then-
drop moats, you spawn a guy that makes it harder for them to deposit theirs. Like,
I like
mean-
the invading part of it. I do like the invading. I think freak, I had a really but I like what Beard was saying. Like you go in with a specific loadout because, like I said, this was supposed to be like their EA or tournament. Here, do this is that team. It was supposed to be like that, and a lot of games you play that are play competitively do that. Lock your loadout or put your specific loadout. You go in, and I think that'd be cool. Like I think that's one way. I'd probably be down more in there. Like every week it changes. Like you have fusion, hand cannons. I mean, like you can only use these type of weapons and go in. So
All right, we've given Gambit way too much attention. None of us like it enough to really even care this much to talk about it. But you're right. I think it does need a refresh. And honestly, maybe like every season something changes in Gambit. I don't know.
it'll be interesting to see what they do to it because that's what everyone's been saying is it needs some kind of overhaul, and that's what they're doing. They're taking away Gambit Prime and they're combining it with normal Gambit to make a new version of Gambit. So whatever it comes out being, it'll be interesting. The concept of Prime honestly was interesting too because you were supposed to play a role, right? You can get a full set of armor for collecting, invading, I think it's scavenging or whatever they called, picking up the moats to bank them. Like there were 4 different like professions essentially you were supposed to select from, but you had to wear the full set of armor. Like even if they took that concept and just at the beginning of the match where you're looking at each other, if there were like 4 orbs on the ground you go up and interact with to like select your profession, and that way if you clicked you picked up the moat one or whatever, then you could carry the 20 moats max instead of the 15, or like that. It didn't require you to, because how many times I've never gotten hardly even a piece, let alone a full set, and I've gone into Gambit Prime and I guarantee I've pissed off some people, but I'm in there to complete a bounty like everybody else so they could shut the frick up. So
all Gambit is.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'll hop in and play it when it comes out because I'm curious enough to know how they change it. I think Gambit, the idea again, has potential. It just didn't hit home.
And one last thing. I know
No.
we got to talk about it too. One last thing. That's
No
also
more
the problem, Farmer Garden. That's also a problem because people go in, finish the bounty, and then they dip.
That's honestly, in my opinion, the biggest glaring flaw with Gambit. If both teams 4-on-4 are 100% dedicated to we're here to win the Gambit match, yeah, it's actually kind of fun. How many times has that happened? I'll tell you how many times. As many times as you played it the first week of Gambit. Because after that, it turned into a bounty farm. Plus, they started introducing things like Breakneck and Hush, and people are in there with 3 bows trying to get a Hush, and as soon as they get 5 moats, they run over to get the first bank whatever award. So
For the
that
medals?
Yeah, the stupid medals. Like, they were playing to farm medals and get kills rather than play the game mode. Like, if they did something like Crucible has bounties, don't get me wrong, but they never make you go out of your way to complete them, right? The
Very
weekly
passive.
ones are just like get kills and get bonus if you do it with an arc subclass or whatever the heck, they throw in there. It doesn't make you like go get 30 kills with a shotgun or a freaking SMG or something, to where people are going in. Python was a perfect example of how Gambit was ruined that season because everybody ran triple shotties. Nobody was banking moats. Anytime somebody invaded, they got crapped on from kids using scout rifles, snipers, whatever. You'd never get close enough to invade with a shotty. If you did, you got 1 kill. Congratulations. Like, that kind of stuff is honestly what ruins Gambit.
And we've all done it. So.
Everybody does it.
I'm
There's like not a person that goes into like, can't wait to just play Gambit, hope my teammates are ready to roll. It's like,
outside of that first week, you're correct.
you spawn into the box and you're like, what bounty are you working on? Like,
let's move away from Gambit. Get already Beard is like already to like split his throat here.
Hey, we gave Warlocks way too much attention, and we just gave Gambit way too much attention. So
Because
at least we got one on each other.
In Gambit too, they changed the invading thing because that was easy to do it. So because if you were to move to one spot as a team, you would invade on a certain area, and then you would just get spawn killed. So they changed that too. So they need to change.
So they're taking a massive chunk, like planets with an S, out of the game. There's one thing I want to say about this before I open it up to you guys to kind of touch a topic that I think is bigger than... We know we got a new subclass coming. We all have high hopes for things like dungeon, raid, strikes. Obviously, new weapons are coming because there's a new subclass, new element. I feel like we know so much about like all the new stuff that's happening and all the new stuff that's coming. And there's some things that I wish Bungie would just kind of keep a little more secret. Thematic elements specifically. The fact that we're getting half of our directory yanked away from us, and we're getting 2 new zones put in, so it's not like we're losing stuff. And it's not who's going to Titan to hang out anyways. It's not like these are big important places in the game, at least in some planets' cases. But the point that I want to make is I think it would have been so much cooler if towards the end of this season, there was some type of quest or some type of event where the Dorito ships show up. There's some type, even if it's just a cinematic. The Dorito ships come in and like blow up planets. And if that's the first time we ever heard about like a planet getting removed, and then we go into the directory and you just can't go to Nessus anymore, or Titan's just not there, how much cooler would that have been just purely from a thematic element? And then obviously the broader topic being Bungie gives us a lot of information on stuff that I think would make the game more intriguing if they kind of just kept secret. And then they keep a lot of things from us that's kind of just like, okay, just when is this stupid sidearm coming out this season? Just like, we know it's coming, just when. But anyways, floor's open to you guys. Stuff Bungie tells us versus stuff that we wish they kind of just kept secret.
Gamer, you want to run with this, or you want me to rant first?
I
know Former has some things to say.
Former. Okay, so we already know a lot of things are going away. We're not going to talk about that. We're talking about right now, like the secrets of Bungie, right? Is that what we're discussing?
Yeah, let's call it that. The secrets of Bungie. I like it.
I like when things are kept secret because then you don't have that whole Bastion thing issue that we had a few seasons back, where the whole community was spending hours and hours and sleepless hours of trying to like solve this puzzle, and at the end it's like you get Bastion, and then everybody's like, wait, but this was on the roadmap. It was supposed to come out. Like I thought we were gonna get like that sword that everybody loved back in Destiny 1. So we don't run into that issue again. We're preventing that from happening because I like it when things pop up and like, hey, you can get this, and then, oh, well, I got this. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, I like it. I like it that way. Coming towards the end, I felt like so far every season we have seen some type of cinematic conclusion. Obviously, the Undying Mind and Shadowkeep, when we slayed it, there was a cinematic there. We saw Osiris coming back. That was kind of cool. After the season of the Dawn, I believe it was called, when they buffed all the solar classes, right? That was when we were helping Osiris, and then he goes in and threatens Rasputin. at the end. That was pretty dope. And then a Season of the Worthy, obviously we had the Lighthouse, Saint 14 returning, like
The
to the
cinematics
Lighthouse.
are lit.
Yeah, we've had them. So obviously I feel like obviously we're going to see them again, and I'm really hoping we get something like we saw last season, where it was a live event where they destroyed the Almighty fell. So I'm really kind of hoping we see Dorito ships flying through the tower, or we see things like that. You can like get Sloane's point of view where the Dorito ships is killing her and then she's blown up and we never hear her again. Like, that'll be so cool. And we can throw Hawthorne in there with her. Why not?
She's not a guardian.
So at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like we will see that. I really do want things kept as a secret, especially Traveler's Chosen. I'm waiting for that sidearm to come out because I love sidearms. So I just don't want to get spoiled. And I feel like we've been spoiled, and then the community. It's crazy because the community, we're either like, we want to know what happens, and then we know what happens. And like, wait, why'd you tell us everything? And then they're like, okay, we won't tell you everything. And they're like, wait, but tell us again. You know what I mean? It goes back and forth.
Very
but like,
much
I guess,
back and forth.
yeah. So I guess for me, just personally, I like when things are kept secret. I like it when they just throw it out there and be like, here it is, go get it, and it's enjoyable to me.
Yeah, I think it's helpful when Bungie is kind of transparent on a lot of things, as far as sandbox updates, kind of their relationship with the community, and like giving feedback, saying, hey, we hear the feedback, or we've received the feedback on XYZ. I think all that stuff's important, and I think the community has made it very clear that we want that kind of communication. But I think in some areas it has been taken to the point where they are announcing things that they easily could have kept under wraps. And the sidearm, Traveler's Chosen, in my mind is a perfect example, because as soon as the season launched, we could see it in the collections. It's on light.gg. It's all over the place. We know it's coming, but we're, 4, 5, 6 weeks, however long into the season, and now it's just a waiting game of each week. We're like, is it here yet? Nope. Cool. Is it here yet? And so the fact that we know it's coming is just this now drawn out, when's it going to get here type thing, as opposed to you log in on Tuesday and you're like, whoa, there's a new quest. What's this? And then you like go and do something, and by the end of it, an exotic drops, and you're like, what is this? And the community freaks out, and Twitter blows up, and everyone's like, what's this new sidearm? What is it? It can regen your abilities. How good is it? People start making videos, and like there's all this hype in the game all of a sudden. And when we know it's coming, it's going to roll out. People are still going to make videos, but we're just going to be like, oh, it's finally here. I got to go get it, as opposed to it being that surprise. And I think, to me, it's more a question of, a lot of people right now are talking about how, what are we going to do for the rest of the season? We're in this drought period. We need more content. And there is content in this season. There's a lot of content in this season. They've dropped a lot of stuff. That sidearm will be another one. We got Ruinous Effigy was another exotic quest we've already had dropped. But like, if all that was kept secret from us, like, we knew a Solstice event was coming, but we didn't really know when. That kind of like just sprung up. If the whole season was like that, and every day we're just doing like the daily or the weekly story missions, and like finding out, oh, the Dorito ships are now on Mercury, and now they're on Io, and like they kept popping up places, and then all of a sudden Ruinous Effigy quest shows up. We go do it, we get a new exotic, everyone's hyped, we're all playing around with it, and then Solstice drops. I think those events can easily be kept secret and would be for the benefit of the player base, and that all of a sudden it would feel like new things show up randomly. We'd get a week or two to play with them, and then something else would drop. Iron Banner comes around. Cool, now we have a week of Iron Banner. Iron Banner goes away. A normal week, we're grinding out whatever gear and stuff, and then something else happens, So I agree. I think there's some stuff that just, for whatever reason, they feel like we like to know. They're clearly trying to please their player base, but that's just it for me. Like the sidearm is just something we're now waiting for. There's not, the hype's gone for it. Day one it was kind of hype. We're like, oh, what is this? That looks super good and cool, and I love sidearms, but I don't have it, and now I'm just waiting around to get it. So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. Is I think if they stick to kind of the logistics of the game, sandbox updates, hot fixes, very transparent on that kind of stuff, and this is why we feel this way. This is why we're doing this thing. I think all that is amazing, and I think Bungie's done a really good job to their credit on that kind of stuff. I think when it comes to content, I think you should keep it a little closer to the vest so that we as players can have that discoverability and things can just kind of catch us by surprise.
I like it. I like Gamer's point earlier about Bastion because I feel like the setup was perfect. Like, it was cool. Like, everybody's freaking out. It was a community thing. Everybody felt like we were, like, trying to have some kind of part in some way. I unashamedly will admit that I did nothing to help solve that puzzle. But I'm glad to have the gun. So, thank you for that. But, yeah, it wasn't... And the build-up even over those, 2 days or whatever that it took, supposedly it was going to take longer than that. The build-up was like, oh, this is something new that we haven't seen, because we already knew Bastion was going to be a thing. It was teased to us, we'd kind of seen it, and we thought that this quest was going to be something different. So for the reward to be something that we already knew was coming, did cheapen the experience. And I feel like these big moments, like a big, huge community-wide puzzle, or like the fact that like half the game is going to get yanked out, I feel like those were things that thematically... Because I mean, just from like a storytelling, or like we want to rope in our people, and a lot of us come to this game for different reasons. The three of us, I think we can all agree, we come back to it for the PvP. But if the PvE always satisfied and just kind of always hit that sweet spot of like, oh man, that was cool. Like, that was a wicked cool moment. Which seasons ago, that's what they wanted. They wanted to create moments that you had to be there for. If you had to be there to watch all these planets blow up and then go into the directory and not see them, like, that would have been a moment that I think we all would have remembered.
Yeah, and they could have announced it like, hey, next week, being the week before the expansion drops, November 3rd or whatever it ends up being. They're like, hey, make sure you're here for the finale of the storyline of this season. They announce, and then people are like, okay, something's happening, right? And then they tune in and they're there for that moment. Like, to their, in their defense, I think the reason they announced the whole planets thing is because there are quests and exotics and catalysts and things that are tied to a lot of those locations. And so it was also their warning to say, hey, go get this now, because...
But a lot of that stuff's getting moved anyways. Like, all the exotics are going to get moved to a different... So...
There are some things that they haven't put a date on, though, like Catalyst. They're like, it will get introduced into the pool at some point. So, yeah, things like Izanagi's Burden Catalyst.
Just even exotics, like Whisper and things like that. Like they've said that...
Rat King. Go get your freaking Rat King.
Mm-hmm. Rat King.
Because Rat King's good.
On the same note of stuff that we wish... So that's stuff that we wish they wouldn't tell us. Stuff that we want to know.
Sandbox.
Why do we not... How many TWABs has it been since we've had any mention of any sandbox changes? Am I not the only one that's like some kind of upset, but also just some kind of concern? Like, we talk about sunsetting, and then ever since that became an announcement, it's like, sandbox update when?
The last sandbox change was beginning of last season.
Yeah, Season of Worthy.
So
a little bit after that season, right? When they nerfed Starlight?
They announced it in Season of Dawn. And so at the end of Season of Dawn, beginning of Season of whatever the Warmind thing was last season, the 7th Seraph weapons and all that, that's when auto rifles got a buff. That's when 600s were king. Hard Light specifically was Big Boy King, putting in work. And they dialed back Hard Light, but that was the last time a sandbox had been changed, if I'm not mistaken.
And so I have major concerns with... We hear about this whole sunsetting thing. Some of us are on board with it. Some of us, like myself, I talk myself in and out of it each week. One week I'm all for it. One week I'm like, man, this is going to suck. But just the fact that we haven't had any kind... And I'm actually one to say, and I don't think Gamer's going to agree with me on this one, I actually think this sandbox is very much, in a lot of ways, much more balanced than previous sandboxes we've had in other seasons. I feel like there's at least a couple of standout weapons or archetypes that you can be proficient with. There are some things that stick out, like sore thumbs. Obviously, people don't love snipe. And like sunsetting weapons aside, the pinnacles aside, we all hate mountaintop, right? But things like 600 RPMs, 150 hand cannons, like using another weapon of that weapon type just doesn't make sense. And so that's kind of where my concern comes in. Like, I know they've mentioned they're going to start fine-tuning things on a archetype level, but we just haven't heard anything about it in a long time. And I don't want sunsetting to be the means of sandbox updates.
Yeah. It's because sunsetting doesn't, it's not a change to the sandbox. It's a change to the economy of weapons that are usable in certain game modes. And those are two very different things. Adjusting how much damage archetypes do, adjusting range on archetypes, adjusting reload speeds, changing perks, the way perks function. All these things that they have done in the past are changes to the sandbox and the way that specific weapons interact inside the game world. Sunsetting is limiting the potential that the weapons are to be not masterworked, to have their light level or power level increased beyond a certain point. So going into trials, going into Iron Banner, and going into end game PvE activities, those weapons are essentially not viable because you need to keep your power level up. That's all sunsetting is doing. But when you're talking regular quick play game modes, rumble, elimination, any of that fun stuff, you can literally use anything you want. And I will say that because they have done this in Destiny 1, it does to a certain extent have an impact, even if you're in the playlist where they can be used, on what people are using. This happened when Thorn and Last Word were really overpowered in Destiny 1. Year 2 of Destiny 1 came out, those got left behind, and there are exotics. That's something they've announced they are not doing, at least as of yet, in Destiny 2. Exotics will continue to be able to have their power level increased, but you kind of stopped seeing Thorn and Last Word when Year 2 launched, and there was no reason why you couldn't pull them out of your vault and shoot somebody with them in the Crucible, but people just didn't use them. And part of that is the fact that they just introduced more guns into the economy, and people just wanted to try out new stuff, or they had been using something, they felt like they liked it, and they just would play with it. But it 100% cannot be a replacement for sandbox changes, because there are always going to be outliers, Mountaintop specifically. I'm going to get into it when we start talking about the sandbox. Revoker, obviously, in the fact that it breaks the ammo economy because it can regen ammo. And then, you got just top tier, or not even, shouldn't even say top tier, just weapons that are being overused in the Crucible and by the player population because of their ease of use and their lethality. So those things have to be taken into account, and they have to be adjusted accordingly. That's why this is now a live game. It's a live action game. They've said it. They want it to be an evolving world that requires changes over time as things get introduced that need to be bumped down, and other things that are lacking use need to be bumped up.
Yeah, I mean, mountaintop usage is ridiculous now. When I had it, it was awesome because nobody had it. Now that everybody has it, it's just annoying. And
it's a stupid weapon.
Exactly. And kind of what you guys are saying, sunsetting shouldn't be okay, that gun's getting sunsetted, so we shouldn't worry about the sandbox. It shouldn't be that way. It's still a problem. It can be a do or die for someone going flawless, do or die for someone trying to get not forgotten, do or die for someone trying to go get unbroken. It's just very frustrating. And kind of for me, I believe sunsetting should almost be a choice. It shouldn't be forced upon. When Forsaken came out, we had all these cool weapons. We had, I loved Better Devils Year 1. Loved that hand cannon into Crucible. I used that with Uriel's Gift a lot. So you had all these weapons. So then when Forsaken came out, you can get things with random rolls. You had the choice. Okay, you can get a Better Devils that has a better perks. You can get snapshots on it. You can get kill clip on it. You can get rampage on it, or you can keep using Year 1 stuff. It's not going to be as effective, but you can still use it.
Because effectively, that is sunsetting what you're talking about.
Exactly, because technically that's sunsetting. It's not. You're not power capping it to me, so you're not telling me nope. It's only going to run up to this season. That season's only, and then you can't use it that season, or it's only going to go up to this light level, and that's it. Because that for me is just being forced upon. I shouldn't have to feel forced not using a weapon that I spent hours grinding. What I mean?
Give us your take on because that's the balancing side of it. Give us your take on current day. Today, you jump in the Crucible, you jump in Trials. What are your general thoughts of the current sandbox?
Okay, so
Because I
when
know you
I,
have some
I've gotten
valid
this
concerns.
question a lot, and people ask me, "Do you like the AR meta? Do you like the AR meta?" Last season, I loved the AR meta. I thought it was the most balanced because you can still take a hand cannon. I could still go in with my old fashioned. I could have still gone in with my Luna's Howl and do decently. Now, since Annoying Hunger came out, and I guess I call it Annoying Hunger, um, I feel like ever since that ARs came out, I feel like that's caused the problem of the AR meta, um, because how easy it is to get access to it. Summoner wasn't a problem last season because it still required 3 wins, 5 wins. Like you still had to participate in trials, and it was still pretty hard to get. And then to even get the role you want was tough enough. You know what I mean? So you still had to get the bounties, the tokens. You got to go to Saint 14. So that Summoner it was its peak because obviously if you didn't have a good role summoner, like you still used it, but obviously hard light was better, so you use that, and then it got nerfed. So then people use Soros, you know what I mean? And that's still kind of a problem. It's not as bad as like these other ARs, but Soros is still on the top tier ARs you're seeing. I feel like because Knowing Hunger is out and how easy access it is to get and how easy access to get a really, really good role. I believe Poltassi, I can't remember who said it. Someone said, like Annoying Hunger is a poor man's summoner, because like how easy you can get it. Like summoner was so hard to get that even to get a good role on it was so hard, but like it wasn't game breaking. Where for I feel now, as much as you go into 6v6, you die. Every purple spray you see is Annoying Hunger. It's not a recluse. It's not it's not a Gravitron Lands. It's not like the Last Perdition. It's Annoying Hunger, and I think that is a big problem because especially something with Rampage on that thing, something with Kill Clip on that thing, it's less than a second to kill you, and I
So it
think
sounds
that's
it
It's less
sounds
than
like the
half a second.
majority of your concern is coming from the one gun specifically, not necessarily the archetype. I'm gonna say
it's
two things before, because I know Former probably wants to say something too. I don't actually think, and this is hot take. I don't actually think we're in an AR meta. Because if you jump into the most competitive of play, like, survival, whatever comp, but especially trials, we saw way. And I know it's on the top four. Gnawing Hunger is in the top four most used this past weekend on Trials Report. I still feel like I saw way more dire promises, like a ton more, like 2 to 3 more for every AR. So I don't necessarily think that it's a 100% AR meta, because it's not all ARs. It's just the 600s.
But
And
see,
then
I
the
think,
other
I think,
point,
I think maybe on PC it's that way. You see more dire promises because I feel like they're, the playstyle on PC is a little faster and it's a little easier. The people like that light frame. But on console yesterday, and when I did it during the week, and when I did comp during the
It's
week,
nothing but ARs.
and nothing but ARs.
Yeah.
Mountaintop, Knowing Hunger. Revoker, Knowing Hunger. That's all
so
you
there's
saw.
that.
That's all you saw.
The other thing, though, that I wanted to bring up, and we've talked about this in past episodes, we all piss and moan to have specific ways to get the exact loot we want. And so now the fact that we have the way to get the gun, I feel like now it's like, oh, we don't like this. We don't like Gnawing Hunger. Everybody can get it. It's so easy to use. I think it's the exact thing that we've been asking for is give me a specific way to get the exact loot that I want. That's why I don't necessarily have as big of an issue with it, but I haven't been killed by it 1,000 times this past weekend like you, so I don't know.
I think what like former Guardian is saying is that when you look at the stats and like the amount of usage one certain weapon has, like that's just chaotic to me. Where I feel like things shouldn't roll that way. I feel things should be if we are not in an AR meta, then we should see more guns in the loot pool. But I bet the top four, they say Bungie has a top four of the week. Every week you see 2 ARs, so 50% of the community is using an AR. You know what I mean? Or maybe more. You know what I mean? Like, maybe 60 or 70% is just using ARs there everywhere you go. I feel like if we go into a control match right now, I think like 80% of the people that on your team or the other team is using an AR. Hands down.
What
If
do
we're
you got for
talking
us, Bowman?
across all platforms, then yeah, ARs are extremely overused. When we were talking just before the show about most used weapons, I was pulling them up on Steam. So I guarantee you if I swap over to console, those numbers are going to be higher for Gnawing Hunger use. As far as Gnawing Hunger goes, two things I'll say about that before getting into the sandbox. One, it should not have Kill Clip, but that aside, it not only has Kill Clip, it has Rampage, and it has Swashbuckler. All of the damage increasing perks are found on this weapon that you get from engrams that rain out of the sky no matter what game mode you're playing, and you can specifically select give me Gnawing Hunger or this one. It's a flip of a coin. It's not Gnawing Hunger. I dismantle it. If it is, cool. Is it the roll I want? No, get the next one. And yes, we do want specific ways to get loot. We don't want it handed to us. And when they're literally throwing Gnawing Hungers at you faster than you get blues, which is saying something because I have a ton of freaking blues, it becomes a problem. Should not have those damage buffs because the Kill Clip specifically is a 35% damage buff. It's the highest damage buff. It's the same as a 5-time stack Swashbuckler. And on that weapon, it will kill you in like 0.35 seconds. Something stupidly, outrageously dumb. And so yes, I have a bit of a problem with Gnawing Hunger specifically on the fact that it is beyond easy to obtain. I want specific ways to get loot, but not just go over and like a slot machine start printing out Gnawing Hungers until I get the perfect roll, which is what everybody in this game has done. But it also just, the weapon that has the quickest time to kill should not be able to roll all 3 damage buff perks. If you are a Titan running Shoulder Charge and you want to roll with Swashbuckler because that's the easiest one to proc, you can roll with Swashbuckler. If you're somebody who's going to play a bit more passive, stay medium to long ranges with your AR, Kill Clip. Easy option, one of the two. And outside of that, it still has amazing other perks. You can get Demolitionist, you can get Subsistence if you just never want to reload.
Overflow.
Like, it's so stacked
So
on that specific weapon.
If the damage dealing perks, and I'll be the devil's advocate here because I think ARs are cool. They've never been amazing except for this past couple seasons, and I've already kind of moved past them a little bit because they're an ease of use weapon. But are you saying that you would be happier with the current situation if the damage dealing perks were split, let's say, between Gnawing Hunger and Summoner? Like, I don't think you'd be more okay with the 600 RPM
This
situation.
I mean, I might be in the minority here. I think that if we could move away from damage increasing perks, I think we'd be in a better place. I think there's a lot of cool perks that exist in the game that people don't look twice at because it's just better to have a damage buff. You know, I think Bungie has done a great job introducing some really cool perks into the loot pool, especially as of late. Killing Wind, the Arsenal one I can't think of, that when you get a kill it reloads your stowed weapon. Like, you know, there are these really cool, interesting perks that just get overlooked because all we want is Kill Clip. And when that's an option, it's your go-to, you know? Like, outside of maybe Rangefinder and Opening Shot, but those just are, you know, they improve the usage of the weapon or the ease of use of the weapon. So, would I be happier? I mean, if Gnawing Hunger did not have those damage buffing perks, then yeah, I would be happier. But in my personal opinion, so I think it was this last week, it might have been 2 weeks ago, True Vanguard put out a video talking about the meta, and he's like, look, I keep getting asked this. I'm going to throw out my, you know, opinions just so they're out there. You can agree, disagree, whatever. You know, TV's a great guy, and the way that he presents things is always just, hey, that, you know, he's very fair in the way that he speaks. But the two things that resonated most with me, that have resonated more with me than what anything else I've heard in a long time related to Destiny, was regarding the AR meta, is that ARs historically throughout Destiny and in a lot of games are meant to be the easy use weapon. It requires sustained fire.
Low barrier to entry. Yeah.
Very low barrier to entry, and especially in Destiny where we have the, you know, pretty high aim assist compared to a lot of other first-person shooters. For the most part, it's pretty easy to hold your reticle onto somebody. Having that, the simple ease of use, low barrier to entry weapon, also have the highest TTK, the highest potential to kill the quickest, is not a good thing. And in my personal opinion, I would take it a step farther and say it's made even worse and even more of a glaring flaw by things like having Kill Clip on a very easy to get weapon. But on top of that, for 2 seasons in a row, we've had artifact mods that buff the accuracy or the aim assist, the flinch.
A flinch?
Like you have enhanced scatter targeting on your helmet that costs 1 energy. So you can double up on those, have 2 of them, and still have 8. You won't even use up your other slots for 8. You can put a intellect mod for 5, and then you're like, okay, what do I do with the other 3? Like, I guess I can put taking charge and get some charges of light while I'm out in Crucible. You know, like, they're so cheap. You can throw one of those on and a hand cannon or a sniper targeting, you know, because it also goes on any affinity when it comes out of the artifact. So you got people doubling up on those. You got people doubling up on the unflinching rifle, which is across all of them, also only costs 1 energy. It's a snowball effect to where this easy to use weapon is infinitely better on top of the fact that the TTK is already easy. You roll with all those perks and a well-rolled Gnawing Hunger with Kill Clip, and you will decimate the next guy no matter how good you are at the game. It's just doing it. It's doing the work for you. And so he just mentioned where ease of use and also the lethality cross paths, they should not intersect at that point. It shouldn't be the easiest use weapon is also the most lethal, because that creates this kind of a meta where that's all people use. So,
and I think this is an interesting point, because before the buff, the crazy thing, I don't know if anybody remembers this, they buffed all auto rifles when they buffed the 600s. All of them got some type of tune-up, but the 600s stand out the most. The crazy thing is who you, just maybe not community-wide, out of the 3 of us, who used an auto rifle before they got buffed? I for sure did not. Okay.
Some exotics occasionally. Monte Carlo.
Every once in a while. Oh, well, good
I
point.
used Breakneck was like my go-to when.
That's right. You did mention Breakneck earlier.
Before I got nerfed, and Sibber's +1 helped me get the legend the first time I wanted to get the legend.
I did use them when Shadowkeep launched because of the artifact mods.
We used the Steel Feather.
We did use Steel Feather a bit in Season of Dawn, but the season before that, I actually used a couple because the artifact for breaking the anti-barrier shields was either SMG or auto rifle. I would run with an auto rifle because it had more range than an SMG. So when I was doing the higher end game Nightfalls, it was easier to pop a shield from a distance using an auto rifle and keep sustained fire, so he would never heal. But that's PvE, you know. In PvP, never.
Yeah. So yeah, I was about to say, because like even Breakneck was through a lot. It was a lot of PvE.
Yeah.
So PvE aside, I know for me personally, Steel Feather was the first time I was jazzed about an auto rifle, and it was a 720, and it had Vorpal Weapon on it, which was a brand new perk, which is a fantastic perk. Point being, prior to that, we didn't use them because of their history of being low barrier to entry, easy to use, kind of just like a newer player kind of a weapon. We just have our own playstyles, and ARs didn't mesh with it. So the bigger point that I want to make here is this is kind of just a classic move to where nobody uses this weapon type, and now everybody's using it in the entire spans of an update. One sandbox update, everybody jumps on this train of using this one weapon. So we talk about like sunsetting, that can't be the only means of sandbox updates. But then when we do get to the sandbox updates, it can't be such a massive shift to where, because if they come in and crank up 180s or crank up 140s, we're going to be in the same situation. That's like nobody's going to use their dire promises. We're all going to use the old fashioned. And so that's the other thing that I don't want to see is these massive pendulum swings back and forth in between updates.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a game where, as far as meta goes, people will pick a 150 hand cannon over a 140 because the TTK is 0.8 seconds, whereas the other one is 0.85. That 0.05 seconds matters to players.
Yeah.
And auto rifles can kill in 0.7, a full tenth of a second faster than a hand cannon. And granted, yes, you can peak shot with a hand cannon, so if you're playing smart and you're playing behind cover, you can outplay an auto rifle. But this is also a game that's, as far as PvP goes, is very heavily weighted on your movement and your ability to maneuver around the map. And so oftentimes you're not hugging a box. You know, this isn't Call of Duty. You're not walking around like a SWAT team peeking corners to see if anyone's around the edge. You're sliding out ready to engage somebody as soon as you make eye contact with them. And so yeah, the ease of use and the lethality that auto rifles have right now are just second to none. And it's true, if someone ducks back behind cover, you're not landing shots on them. You have to keep that sustained fire, whereas other weapons can do like like auto specific or hand cannon specifically can do burst damage, but I think it was too much, and combined with all of the benefits you can get from the artifact mods, from the go get the perfect gnawing hunger that fits your playstyle with whatever damage buff you want, whatever Zen moment, tap the trigger, like make it as easy to use as possible, and then just go get a bunch of kills. And yeah, especially, and then it's made even worse by Mountaintop that you can throw quick access sling on, and a Mountaintop gnawing hunger is the stupidest loadout you can run right now in PvP. And
in Top Tree Dawnblade, because it's like you throw that in the air, that Mountaintop, then swap over in your body spraying before the Mountaintop hits. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous, man.
Why did you have to throw that top 2 Dawn jab in there? I felt
because that dude, you see that a lot. And
it's the only tree that you can fire while flying.
Former Guardian, you're adding more stability to a weapon that already has the most stability in the game. So you're wanting that tap the trigger, you wanting that like Zen moment, dude. It is ridiculous how much more steady you're making that gun and how easy it is to get that radical in. And that's for me, that's like the biggest problem, and with these ARs. And like I said, I do like it. I mean, like having the ARs is cool. I don't use them. I don't use them as much because obviously my, last word beloved is my go-to. And I mean, I still use beloved. Last word, I think it's a freaking Miss Shane, dude. But I think right now they should just bring back my Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten How It Was, and then I'll be happy before the new season starts. And then then I'll shoot out every AR coming after me.
Yeah, but I don't think auto rifles are inherently the problem. Like, I understand the concept of wanting them to have the potential to, be good if you're landing mostly headshots, but even not by that same token, because it's not precision in nature. I think if you're using something like a hand cannon, like a scout rifle, like a pulse even, and you're controlling your shots and landing crits, you should be rewarded for that level of precision that it takes to snap on somebody and control shot after shot, as opposed to holding a trigger down and just holding your reticle on somebody. I play mouse, sorry. Just the ease of use of it, I don't think you should be rewarded when it's easier. I think somebody who is doing something that is more difficult should be rewarded in being able to have the potential for that higher kill. Because here's the thing also, you miss a couple shots on an auto rifle, the missed shots are probably in the body as you're trying to get to the head.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you miss a hand cannon shot, whether it's a body or a flat out miss, your TTK jumps up quick. Like over a second on a 150. It can kill in 0.8. You miss a bullet, or they're far enough away where you have some damage drop off, and it takes you 4 or 5. You're into the 1.2, 1.6 very quickly. Mm-hmm. That time to kill goes up, and auto rifles are pretty consistent out to about 30 meters.
And here's my problem also, is that ARs are so good and so deadly that, like, who even uses pulse rifles and scout rifles?
I do.
Scout rifles are garbage.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, like, because Cold Denial is probably the best one you got right now, because they did to like aggressive pulse rifles, but still, like, I mean, even then, I don't get killed by Cold Denial at all.
So real quick,
you haven't played me yet.
Real quick, just to swap a bit off of the AR talk and talk a bit about some of the rest of the meta. The other thing that TV brought up in that video I wanted to bring up with you guys was he talked about the perks that you can add on your class item that give you additional super energy for kills, and that they're only found across special weapons. Mm-hmm. And he pointed it out, like, why are we rewarding people for using the easier one-shot kill weapons and giving them more super? It entices people to always run a special and almost hinders you for running a double primary. Like, that was one of the appeals.
It does hinder you.
It 100% does.
Actually, a handicap.
And the argument to, you don't drop special for that person is not a valid argument in my point, because if you're running double scavengers, which, let's be honest, most people are, and especially in a game mode like Trials, you're getting 3 to 4 bullets when you walk over a single brick. So it takes one person on the other team to drop one, and you're stacked. Plus, it refreshes up to 2 shots in the next round anyways, Like, that's not a high enough benefit to run a double primary, versus being able to have the potential to one-shot, whether in close range with a shotgun or from far away with a sniper, and on top of that, getting extra super energy for your kills. It's what can create that snowball effect in a round that can make somebody not only quickly win a round by getting an early pick and being able to stomp the team, but they get more super quicker. And the concept that we just don't have similar perks for primary weapons, it also creates, so going back to Destiny Tracker that we somewhat hinted at, the fact that Gnawing Hunger's way up there, the other weapons that are way up there are Revoker, Felwinter's Lie, Beloved, Mountaintop, Astral Horizon. These are all at the top of the list, and the only primaries in here are Gnawing Hunger, Dire Promise, and Suros, out of like the top 10. Mindbender's Ambition is after that. So it's all shotguns and snipers, the like 8 out of the top 10 that are being used in the Crucible. And I think a big part of that is the fact that they not only one shot, they're giving you additional super. Because if anyone's running one of those, they're also running with pump action or remote connection.
Which I will say, I think that's okay. I think a sniper of some type or a couple snipers and then like a shotgun here or there, I think that's always going to be top of the list, some of the most used weapons in trials because of their one kill potential. And I think that's fine. I don't want to go back to some of the worst kind of special droughts that we had, like end of D1, and there were some really dark times. Like, I think special, all things considered, is fine. The thing with moving, getting the same kind of mods that give you super energy for special weapon kills, if we move those over to primary weapon kills as well, I do think I do have the ever slightest gripe about certain precision primaries, in the sense of the hitboxes, I feel like are just a tad too big on hand cannons specifically and on snipers. I think the community at large would benefit from having to just get that much better with their precision weapons if your head wasn't the size of a watermelon. If you had to be that much more accurate, I think the game would play out a lot better. I mean, it's I don't want to say easy, but at the same time, it is a little easy to get 3 headshots with the hand cannon. It's not as much of a challenge. It's doable if you're at least halfway skilled with that specific weapon. So I think if we did move and have those mods for primary weapons, I do think they should be that much more difficult to use, or just not have them, because that was those TV's other point, right? Was it should be for both primaries and specials, or for none.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of the things that we brought up, but. And I do think I speak for all of us when I say we don't want like a Call of Duty style 2 bullets from any gun's going to be a kill, 1 body shot sniper. Like, we love this game. I think one of the main reasons why I love this game is because it's not Call of Duty. I definitely don't want something like that. I just want to feel like I can take the weapons that I want to play with and not feel handicapped.
Right. And overall, I mean, like I said, I don't like bashing the AR meta because it is a we'll say fun, because like you can still counter it here and there, but it's just annoying seeing it how much popular, how much overall, because even during that hand cannon meta, like you still had other things that were in that meta as well that were doing just as good. Arantil was just as good at that time. Like, shotguns were like a big thing as well. Fusion rifles were also reigning. So I mean, just right now, I feel like ARs is just overboard because how much you see it and how much overpowerful it is, So, but at the end of the day, I mean, you want to use that, go for it, like it is obviously not everyone's the best PvP player. So like if you're not hardcore into PvP, go ahead, you take an AR, go do some trials, go do some comp. It's going to be fun because they're really powerful right now. I'm not saying OP, I'm just saying they're powerful. So for sure.
I guess we can sign off with this. Everybody just give your the one archetype you want to see come back big and strong in the next couple of updates. Me personally, 140s. I want 140s to be 2 headshots, 1 body.
I just want my Luna Hell to be back where how it used to be, all right?
That's going away anyways. You gotta give
if my Luna's Hell might not forgotten go back how they were, I'd be super happy. Especially now that with all these damage nerfs that they've gotten, like Breakneck. That's why Breakneck sucks. That's why Red Drake sucks now, because all the nerfs they've gotten. So if they just bring that back, if they just bring back Luna's how it used to be, I'd be super happy.
Former what weapon type do you want to see? big and beefy?
I don't know. I would like to see viable reasons to use different archetypes, I guess. I mean, obviously we talk about hand cannons, and they're probably the most glaring of issues because, 110s and 180s specifically are next to worthless as far as time to kill and just ease of use. I mean, we talk about missing a shot or two and how that increases your time to kill. When your time to kill on a 180 is already, what is it? Is it 1.0 or 1.2?
1.2.
Yeah, 1.2. If you hit 4 headshots in a row, you miss one of those and it just gets worse from there. Like, I don't think you need to have time to kill even across the board, and I don't think that's possible. But I think you should have on the ones that maybe potentially take a little longer, more leniency, so that they don't quickly add up to higher TTKs. Maybe they're slightly behind, but you can be more lenient with them. I mean, that's essentially how like pulse rifles have always been. The fastest rate of fire might not kill as fast as the hardest hitting, the aggressive frame pulses, but if you miss one pulse off an aggressive pulse, the time it takes to fire that second shot is very hindering. I mean, that's how bows are. That's easily my most used weapon. And bows can be very, very lethal, but the moment you miss a shot, you put yourself in a very bad situation because the time it takes to knock a new arrow and draw it back to take another shot at somebody is the time that somebody can kill you in. So if you peek around a corner, already have that arrow drawn, and you nail somebody, if you have a good enough draw time on your bow, you can take a second shot and kill them in about 0.8 seconds, same time as a hand cannon can. You miss that shot, though, and you're kind of screwed. And so I would love to see that concept across other archetypes to where this TTK is not ideal, but it's more lenient. And so me as somebody who's not confident in hitting that 3-tap, I'm going to use that 180, and it does take 4 shots, but maybe it's 2 heads and 2 bodies, It can be a bit more lenient. I don't have to be as on point precise, and it'll take me 1.2 seconds. But if they miss a shot, they go up to 1.2 anyways. So I'm banking on the fact that I can just consistently hit all 4 of my shots, and that they're probably not going to be able to if I'm running, high mobility or stompies or dune marchers or something to where I can slide around and, be more agile. So
I think a lot of weapon types in the game need the sidearm treatment, in the sense that I think sidearms, out of all weapon types,
I love sidearms, man.
archetype to archetype, sidearms are amazing. But from archetype to archetype, there is very much a clear sense of balance and a very valid reason to use one archetype over the next, and it's completely up to your build, what you like, what's comfortable, what weapon you're pairing it with. Like a high handling sidearm is great to switch over to from a bow. And so a lot of weapons need the sidearm treatment to where you can pretty much pick up any sidearm that's halfway decent, and regardless of the archetype, make it work for you. Just not the case with a lot of other weapons. So
that is very true. Which is why I love sidearms. Like, you can pick up a Last Dance, or you can pick up a Lonesome, and different archetypes, but
they feel very different too.
Yeah, exactly. And depending on what you get, like you can do really decent on any build. Yeah, absolutely.
Like picking up a 720 AR is like, cool. This is a worse gnawing hunger.
and maybe that's part of it, and I don't know how they would work that into the game, but it's true that sidearms do have a lot of variety, and even just like the way they fire. You have 2 burst, you have 3 burst, you have single fire at varying RPMs, and so it really comes down to just what feels good to you. I know a lot of people. We've been talking about TV. Lonesome is one sidearm he really enjoys. I struggle using it. I'm a big fan of sidearms, and just that RPM just doesn't jive with me. But I can pick up a 300 RPM or a 450 lightweight frame, and it feels great. It's and all 3 of those options are single fire sidearms, but one just feels better in my hands than another one does. It's purely preference, and at the end of the day, they all kill about the same as far as their TTK goes. It's really just what feels comfortable to you, and I would love to see that in some way brought to as many archetypes as possible into the game, that you're like, this one just feels better. And maybe the solution to that is maybe something like range, like slower firing ARs can just push out that range further. I think that's the biggest hindrance to hand cannons right now, is that their range is exactly the same across the board. Maybe give 1080s a faster 1080s, 180s a faster time to kill or the same time to kill but within a closer range, and so you can kill somebody and maybe the 3 shots, but they got to be within 15 meters. If they're past that point, takes the 4th shot, now you're up to a 1.2 KD where it could have been or TTK where it could have been what was it, 0.7, 0.69 I think it is. So I would love to see that kind of variety. It's like this excels here in this area of the game. This hand cannon, it's like a sidearm, but it's going to feel different than a sidearm. And if you like that feel, take this into a close firefight as opposed to a sidearm, and have some kind of variance that way.
And we can keep this train rolling and rolling. These are the kind of conversations that we love. These are the topics that we love to get into. And so I definitely want to speak for the whole crew and say, if you have been listening to us live, we want to say thank you so much. I know there's a couple people in chat. We definitely see you, even though we don't touch all the time on the topics you guys are bringing up. But thank you for listening. Thank you so much for joining in live. I could be saying this to 2 people. I could be saying it to 50 or 1,000 or 1,000,000. I don't know. However many people are out there listening, all 3 of us want to say thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And thank you for listening to us after the fact as well. If you are new listening to the show, we stream every week, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Arizona time, whatever other time zone we happen to be on for the rest of the country. Yeah, I guess now it's Pacific. And thank you for coming and listening to us after the fact too. You can find us on Spotify and on YouTube after we broadcast live as well. Thank you guys so much for coming in and listening. Former Guardian, where can people find you after the show?
You guys can talk to me on Twitter at Former Guardian. So look me up, say hi. Always
Adam,
happy to chat.
Not So Gamer, what about you, my friend?
You can find me at NotSoGamer91 on Twitter. Also, you can find me on Twitch at NotSoGamer, streaming 5 days a week.
Excellent. And I am at The Real Beard on Twitter as well. You guys can find me there. We can chat. We can hang out. Thank you guys so much. Awesome week. Let's go play some Destiny.
All right, let's do it.
Peace. Yep.